What is going on, Washington football addicts, Washington football nation? We are recording tonight, Saturday, January 29th. It's your boy Steve. We got Phil joining us tonight, and we got Mr. Dev in the bottom, who's a little ill today, but you know what? He's a good sport, and he's joining us today. So shout out to you, Dev, for freaking rallying and still kicking it with us, man. Feel better soon.
Yeah, I'm here through the power of marijuana and orange juice.
Yeah, man.
I'm here.
Marijuana and OJ. Marijuana and OJ.
Sound like a pod name.
That's right. That is, you know what? We'll save it for the off season. Well, for us, this is episode 111, and we're dedicating this one to the 30th anniversary of Super Bowl 26, XXVI for the Roman numeral type. And for those of you who don't know, the 30th anniversary of our last Super Bowl win with the 1991 team. January 26th, 1992. So that 91-92 season, you know, we went technically 17-2. You count all the games we adding up to it. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and dedicate this episode to that. We're going to talk a lot about that Super Bowl game. We're going to talk a lot about that season, that 91 season, which, you know, some could arguably say, and it's been said by many experts and pundits, that is one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest team of all time, which is crazy. We never have anything like that. So, you know, without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to Phil. Let's talk about the 1991-1992 season that we just ripped through everyone. So go ahead, Phil.
All right. So let me set the stage. All right. And if you've ever seen the Americas game for that 91 season, it does a great job of setting the table on the 91 season, with the fact that the 91 season really began in 1990, because you know, Joe Gibbs had been running a wide open passing offense, and they had relied on the passing game way more than the run game, because, you know, we had the posse, we had a strong arm quarterback in Mark Rippon, and that carried over into the 1990 season. And it was a bit of an uneven season to start, and they came out of they came into the body bag game, the infamous body bag game, and just got defeated badly. Everybody got hurt. It was like, I think 8 guys got injured, 5 got carted off the field, including 2 quarterbacks. So we ended up having to run Brian Mitchell back there at quarterback as an emergency QB because Mark Rippon was already hurt.
Who was a former quarterback in college?
Because he was a former quarterback in college. Went 3 of 6 in that game. It's not horrible, but nonetheless, we lost the body bag game 28-14, which is funny. We lost the game by 2 touchdowns that people call the body bag game. I mean, you would think we would have lost by 50, but nonetheless, we came out of that game. We were 6-5. We went on 5. We won 5 out of the next. 4 out of the next 5 to close the season, and ended up 10-6. Went to the playoffs, beat the Eagles, rematched the Eagles from the buyback game into wild card, beat them 20-6. Pretty solid win too, and then went into San Francisco. We lost 28-10. We were actually winning that game, and then we could not stop turning the ball over. But we could have beaten Joe Montana's 49ers, who were really good that season. They were going for a 3-peat that year, and and we really pressed them for a half.
And I remember that game specifically because I was in my second year of Pee Wee football. We had our postseason banquet on that. I think it was a Saturday night game. That 49ers game was Saturday night. And so, yeah, we were the Colts, maroon, but we were burgundy and gold Redskins color at the time. And I'll never forget it, man. Because I couldn't watch the game, but they had the game up in the corner on a little tiny black and white TV. Someone brought one of those, small, those portable TVs that you could raise the antenna up and you could tune it in like an old
like a little 9-inch screen.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of people huddled around that. And I remember it fondly, 1990. Yeah.
I had one of those that I cannot tell you. I watched more than my share of Madden and Summerall called Redskins games during that entire late 80s period. But anyway, we go into the season. We are, picked to be contenders. But a lot of people thought that the Eagles might rise. The Giants were Super Bowl champs, but Parcells had retired. So, there was some questions there. So, Washington was seen as a team that could contend, but there were other teams out there. The Bears had played well, teams like that. So, that season started off. We played the Detroit Lions and won 45-0.
Pow, 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 45-0. First game of the season.
45-0
At home, at RFK.
At RFK, yes. So you're going to notice a trend early on. So we win 45-0 at RFK, and just whomped Detroit. Now you got to understand, the year before we went to Detroit, and we had to play. One of y'all has got some static going on.
Static, Steve.
It's Steve's got. Okay. So while Steve works on that, I'll tell you all the story. So we just absolutely rolled over Detroit. We had to come back from 21 down the previous season in one of the most miraculous passing efforts you'll ever see against Detroit the year before. So what a difference a year makes. We go down to Dallas, came back from down 31-20 and won that game 33-31 on Monday Night Football. And then we went and we blanked the Cardinals. And then we went, at home. Then we went on the road and beat the Bengals. And then we went home again, played the Eagles, blanked them. So we actually shut out the first three opponents we played at RFK. If anyone ever wants to hear about how much of a home field advantage RFK Stadium is, realize that we played 12 quarters of football to start 1991 and didn't allow a single point in that stadium. In fact, the next time we played a game in that stadium was against the Browns, and we let up. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. I believe we let up either 14 or 17 points, but we scored 40. You'll notice and see the thing about this Washington team. And I'm not going to go through every single game that season. There was a lot of ass kickings that we dealt out. And the thing is that if you look at point differential, right, we were plus 261. All right. We scored 485 points and allowed 224. That means we averaged 30.3 points a game and only allowed 14. Right. We had, the number one scoring offense and number two scoring defense in the league that year. By the way, 261 in terms of point differential is still the sixth best in NFL history and the third best in the Super Bowl era. Only the 1999 Rams and the 2007 Patriots have a better point differential, but I will always point to this little tidbit. They allowed a lot more points on defense than ours did.
Static again, Steve.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they like to talk about how dominant the 07 Patriots were, and they were. I mean, they went 16-0, but their defense was more forgiving than Washington's defense. A lot of people look back at 91, they talk about the Eagles defense that ranked number one in every yardage category, but they allowed more points. And we were number two defense in yardage that year overall. This team was so well-rounded. They could beat you with the run game. They could beat you with the passing game. They could beat you on special teams. You want to talk about all three areas of the game excelling, all right? You have the number two defense in terms of yards allowed and scoring. You have the number one scoring offense. You have a special teams unit where Brian Mitchell is in the top three in both kick and punt returns, and one of the best kick coverage units in the league. I'm telling you, it's such a well-rounded team. There's no weaknesses to that 91 Washington team. It was a mixture a lot of veterans. You had some young guys in there too, like Ricky Irvins had a breakout rookie year as a backup, averaged almost 5 yards a carry, and had 600 and some yards. And Ernest Biner went for over 1,000. And he had Gerald Riggs, who had less than 80 carries, but he was a short yardage back, scored 11 touchdowns. All right. Art Monk and Gary Clark both had 70 plus catches and over 1,000 yards. You know, this is a team that could beat you any way they wanted to. All right. Their 2 losses were a combined 5 points. They lost one game at home to Dallas by 3. And then they lost another game on the road in Philly in the last game of the season, in which they were winning until Gibbs pulled all the starters, and then the Eagles came back and won on a last-second field goal.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I was at Christmas dinner with neighbors at that time, and I know the game didn't matter at that time because we were already 14-1. I mean, 14 and
14-1,
14-1, and it didn't matter. So whatever. But as a lot of some of the people you talked about earlier, one of my favorite players on that 91-92 team was Ricky Irvins. Just like you said, I mean, that was back in the day when everyone had those massive shoulder pads, and that dude was a scat back if you ever seen one. You know, Ernest Barner was a very, pretty traditional running back. Gerald Riggs was
a fullback. I mean, he was a fullback in Cleveland.
Yeah, he was a pounder. Yeah. He was a pounder, and then Gerald Riggs was your short, goal line guy, which you just don't see anymore. But Irvins was that scat back, man. You give him the ball. I always, it's like when you give someone the ball, it's like you almost felt he had a chance to break it, and he had 690 something yards for a rookie.
He was almost 700 yards as a backup.
Crazy, averaging 4.7. So yeah.
And it's cool because it's cool when you really look at the dynamics of it. You have a 3-back backfield, and everybody's got an assigned role. See, Biner was not just a running back and a pounder, but he had really good hands.
Yeah,
caught. He was always good for 30, 40 catches out the backfield every year, and he would. This was he had gone back-to-back 1,000 yards. He went 1,000 yards in 91. He had gone 1,000 yards in 1992. And he also went 1,000 yards in Cleveland. Ernest Biner is a real slept-on running back. It really is. Everybody remembers him for that stupid fumble in Denver.
Yeah.
In 88, but I remember him for, we'll talk about in a second, he had a touchdown catch in the Super Bowl that we're about to talk about. But yeah, I remember that. I remember being really disappointed. I wanted us to go 15-1, just because that's kind of like that. That was like the hallowed mark. No one's going to be the undefeated Dolphins, but if you go 15-1, you'll get mentioned with them. Yeah. And I honestly think if they had won that game, how some people would look at this team would be very different. I think that one loss kind of took them down a peg in some people's eyes as far as where they stand in the pantheon of football history.
Yeah,
14-2, they get their first round bye. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. They had the best record in the entire NFL. Atlanta comes to town, and they had stomped Atlanta 56-17 earlier that year in RFK.
Was that Eric Metcalf, Atlanta?
No, Eric Metcalf was in Cleveland. Eric Metcalf was in Cleveland at the time, and we had played Cleveland too. No, this was primetime Deion Sanders, Andre Rison.
He played back then. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Mike Rozier.
Yeah. At that point, actually, Rozier was hurt, so they started Eric Pegram at running back, and that's in the playoff game.
Was Jerry Glanville? Was this the Hammer?
Run and shoot offense. Who was their quarterback?
Was it Chris?
Their quarterback was Chris Miller.
Chris Miller, yeah.
Chris Miller, okay, yeah, the old guy.
Chris Miller came later, because I know that's who you're probably thinking of.
Chandler was on the Dirty Bird.
Yeah, this was the too legit to quit Falcons.
Yeah,
I remember that.
You gotta understand, Hammer was on the sidelines at this playoff game, and so was Evander Holyfield because he's a Georgia native, and they all left the game early because We just ran him into the ground. We forced 6 turnovers. It was a horrible weather game. I mean, it rained. The field was kind of muddy. It was RFK weather. It really was.
The Redskins were favored by 11.5 points that game.
Which
That's
is unthinkable in today's
for a
football.
playoff game, right? That's crazy.
Covered.
And they covered.
What are the Rams, for an example? What are the Rams spread against the Niners? Which, by the way, I'm gonna tell y'all now, 49ers have won 6 straight against the Rams.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want to talk about good times. I want to talk about good times. These are good times. So we beat Atlanta 24-7. This is the infamous seat cushion game. I've told the story. I was there too. I threw my seat cushion and probably whacked somebody in the head down on the lower decks. Because
you ever wish you had kept that now?
Hell no. I was part of history.
You don't think you kept that seat cushion?
No, I would have probably lost it along the way. I'm not much of a collector like some people are. Just it's not my thing.
He don't deserve that pylon, Steve. I hope you heard that. I set him up. He don't deserve it.
It is Bryce Love, though.
I got a game ball, though.
That's true.
Anyway, so I also actually, you know what? I actually have the Wheaties box, an unopened Wheaties box from this championship season, and from the Doug Williams team as well. I do have those sitting in storage. Anyway, we go to Detroit comes to RFK again. Now we beat them beginning of the season 45-0. Detroit was 12-4 that year. This was not some chump team.
This was Wayne. What's his name? Fonts?
Wayne Fonts. He was running a variation of the run and shoot with Barry Sanders in the backfield.
What do you have? Curtis Duncan.
I'm sorry.
I thought they had a receiver then.
Moore.
Herman Moore.
Willie Green, Aubrey Matthews, Brett Perryman, all those guys. But this is before Moore and Perryman became Moore and Perryman later in the 90s. But they had gone 12-4. They won the NFC Central, which no one saw coming. Dallas came to Detroit in the divisional round, and they beat Dallas 38-6, which ruined everything because I remember at the divisional game against Atlanta, the "We Want Dallas" chant was going on, and the stadium was rocking because they played on Saturday. Dallas played on Sunday. They wanted Dallas to beat Detroit because they wanted a revenge game against Dallas, since Dallas was the only team that fans saw legitimately beat this Redskins team at any time of the season. No one counted the Eagles game because, like I said, Gibbs pulled the starters when we were ahead.
Didn't they beat Dallas like 38-6 or some crazy shit? Or 40
yeah, I mean, Detroit stomped Dallas. I mean, they stuffed Emmitt Smith. There's that beautiful run. They always play a Barry Sanders where he stops. He takes like 2 steps back, and Tony Casillas is looking around, can't find Barry behind him, and then Barry just takes off. I actually watched that whole game just because I love watching
the Tall Law run, though, still does it for me, where he runs behind Tall Law.
Oh, that's up there. But that run against Dallas and Tony Casillas being completely lost is that's football porn for me because it's watching Dallas get embarrassed. But so they come into town. We beat them 41-10 on the first pass play of the game by Detroit. Charles Mann blows up Scott Conover. Who is the right tackle for Detroit, like literally just blows him up right into quarterback Eric Kramer and forces a fumble, and we get the ball in the 6. And that's how we started the game. And you knew from there, we're going to win. So we won 41-10. It's everything's fantastic. We go into Super Bowl 26. We're going to play Buffalo. But Buffalo's on trip number 2 to the Super Bowl. I will stand on this. This is the best one of the Buffalo teams that went to the Super Bowl. Statistically, everything. This is, they were 13-3, which was tied for their best record of those 4 Super Bowl teams. Their offense was as good as it had ever been. Their defense was solid. They'd embarrassed Kansas City in the divisional round. They had
three Hall of Famers in that offense. Not just offense. One on defense.
Well, Buffalo, Buffalo had but you understand they actually won with defense in the AFC Championship game. was a 10-7 game. And they won. Their only touchdown was an interception return off of John Elway. But you got to think, this is a Buffalo team that's got James Lofton, Don Beebe, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas. They've got both Pete Metzelaars and Keith McKellar at tight end. They got a strong offensive line. They had Kenneth Davis backing up Thurman Thomas, who was a solid running back himself.
Do you remember the guy who had the double helmet?
Mark Kelso.
That's right. Mark Kelso.
The Don Beebe.
There you go.
NFL history right now. I know way too much about early 90s.
I like the Buffalo, man. They had a good. If I wasn't a Washington fan, I probably would have been a Buffalo fan growing up.
And the legendary Frank Wright for backup, man. Now a great established coach.
And the sole reason I would have been a Bills fan is because Technovo.
Dude, Thurman Thomas. Thurman was great.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing. We go into that Super Bowl. Mr. Z of Sports Illustrated predicts that Buffalo is going to win by 3. Now, I think that the Vegas odds were Washington by 3, but there was questions. But it was the only thing that people could say is that it was the 2 best teams in the NFL made it to the Super Bowl. Like, there was no doubt about it. Right,
which doesn't always happen, as you know.
No, it doesn't. That's why I always thought this. I mean, that says right there. If you look at Washington's path to the Super Bowl, they played multiple. They played a lot of playoff teams because they did not play like a last place record. They played a lot of playoff teams from both 90 and the teams that went back in 91. They played a 12-4 Lions team, which had the second best record in the NFC. They played the team with the best record in the AFC in the Super Bowl, right? It's not like they played chumps. They played good teams. Now, we go into the Super Bowl. It's in Minneapolis. It's the first Northern Super Bowl, right? It's the first time it's not in like Miami or in California or Louisiana. No, they're holding it in the Metrodome, which is – it was a couple months after my favorite World Series of all time finished in the Metrodome. Another story for another day. But they're in the Metrodome, and people think Buffalo's got a chance. And Thurman Thomas goes out there and misses the first 2 plays of the game because he can't find his helmet. If that doesn't tell you how this game was going to go for Buffalo. Thurman Thomas what happened was that some equipment manager moved his helmet, he couldn't find it. He missed the first 2 plays of the game. So they had
that sets the tone for the rest of the game.
It did. And here's the thing: it was a 0-0 game after the first quarter, but that's because, as luck would have it, Art Monk he has a one-man show on a drive. He had like 4 catches for 64 yards on a single drive, right? He ended up going 7 for 110 that game. He went 4 catches for 64 yards. He has a 5th catch in the end zone. Like, his left pinky toe is over the line, and they catch it on replay. And they mark it incomplete. Which I'm always like, damn, he was this close.
Replay back then?
Yeah, they had a replay back then. It was actually done away with after this season. This was the last season of replay. It was either this or 92. It was the last season of the original replay. So they call it on replay. They wave it off. We go to kick a field goal. Jeff Rutledge botches the snap or botches the catching the snap.
Yes, this was back when backup quarterbacks used to hold instead of punters, which just shows you the dynamic of the game and how much it's changed. It's crazy.
Well, not only that, but you see, Rutledge was sure-handed too. That's why it was like, oh man. So it's 0-0. We go into the second quarter, and you notice that our secondary is absolutely just mugging the Buffalo receivers. This is back when defenses could hit receivers. This is when you could bump and run in the first 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Like, you could get physical with guys before they had the ball in their hands, right? You hit you could hit the receiver if he was in the middle of trying to catch the ball. Like, if you timed it, you could hit it. And they're just punishing Buffalo's receivers. Thurman Thomas can't get anywhere. He had 13 yards rushing this whole game.
Domination.
Right? So we go march down the field, and this is where I remember Ernest Byer. My most notable Ernest Byer memory is Rippon catches him out in the flat for a 10-yard touchdown pass. He rolls out in the flat, throws it out to Biner. Biner turns the corner, dives, catches inside the pylon, touchdown. We got another touchdown on a 1-yard run by Gerald Riggs because that's what he does. And we got a field goal from Chip Lowmiller, 17-0 at halftime.
17-0. At that point, people were like, this game's over. The final score is not vindicative of what the actual game was like.
Oh, no, it's not, because it gets even better. So, first play of the second half, Jim Kelly, there's such a story behind this one play. They run a blitz on the first play of the second half. Redskins run a blitz on Jim Kelly as he drops back to pass. This is a blitz they drew up in the bus on the way to the stadium. The blitz was called the bus driver special.
Oh, wow.
And Andre Collins comes inside guard and tackle, gets right in Jim Kelly's face, forces him to rush the throw. And they literally said, if you get through, he'll throw the ball here. You're going to pick it up. And that's what happened. He throws the ball behind the tight end. Kurt Gavea picks it off, gets knocked out of bounds at the 2-yard line. And then you get that, they hand it off to Riggs. Riggs gets a 2-yard touchdown because, again, that's what Gerald Riggs did. And then the famous scene of Mark Rippon, just running back, pumping his fist, jumping as little as he could because
we all knew it was over. We knew the game was over.
It's 24-0. He throws a touchdown pass on the following drive to Gary Clark from 30 yards out, 31-0. I'm sorry, no. By this point, it's 31-10. Buffalo did get 10 points at this point. So it's 31-10 to end the third quarter. We get 2 more field goals. It's 37-10. Now, we let up 2 garbage time touchdowns in the last 7 minutes because we got our backups in, to get them some Super Bowl time. Final score is 37-24. But let's be real. Until there was 7 minutes left in this game, it was 37-10.
That's insane.
Had the score stayed like that, you got to think their playoff wins are 24-7, 41-10, 37-10.
Game over.
Beautiful sound effect. I can never talk enough about this team. I was already a mega fan, but this solidified it. And I always said this is the greatest team ever. And of course, by this point, Dallas has their dynasty run, and then Denver and Green Bay had their runs. Then came the greatest show on turf and everything else.
I think it would be unanimous if they had a franchise quarterback. If they had a Hall of Fame quarterback on that team, it'd have been unanimous. I think they're the best team ever. Period. But you could maybe argue 1 or 2 teams, but it would
they have run computer simulations.
Yeah,
ESPN did. Football Outsiders did. USA Today did.
Yep.
NFL Network.
All these Super Bowl winning teams. All 3 of them. 91 Redskins.
That's right. And they did the DVOA, and they're still number 1.
Yeah.
Still number 1.
You can't.
They gotta have one of the highest amounts of Hall of Famers on the team. And again, no Hall of Fame quarterback. When's that ever been done? Can you name another sport at all where the best team of all time ain't got the best player on it? You go back to NBA, the best NBA teams of all time got Michael Jordan on it. The best baseball player of all time probably got Yankee on it. That's the best player in the league at the time. Washington has the best team of all time. Right. But there's no Washington team. There's no NFL team that could say that they were the number 1 team at everything. They were the best team of all time. You can't even name a franchise quarterback that's on the team. I mean, Mark Rippon.
I will say this, though. I will clarify your comment with this. 1, it was a different time. 2.
No, was it really though? Because look at the teams back then. Who were the teams back then though that were winning? That were real good.
Different time, as in the emphasis on the pass wasn't as high. So Rip had 3,500 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He was only sacked 9 times. 9 times. 9 times.
Put that in perspective. Your boy got sacked 6 times last game.
I know. 9 times.
But I'm saying that team was so good. It's just the amazing thing about it was all the teams you're naming in the top 2 or 3, 5 of every sport has the best player in the league at that time on it.
Absolutely.
Washington does not.
No.
That they didn't have the best nowhere in the league. I don't think.
But they had the best balance. They had the best offensive line in the NFL, probably the best defense in the NFL. They had probably the best.
They had the best offense in the NFL.
Running backs in the NFL. Yeah,
I would say this: they may have had
best receivers, maybe
the best multi-tool linebacker in the game.
Wilbur Marshall,
because Wilbur Marshall was just as good in pass rush as he was in coverage and at defending the run. Like, he was not number one.
Was Kurt Gouvet on that team? Am I tripping?
Kurt Gouvet was a starting middle linebacker.
Man, they was rough, bro.
Now listen, you want to know how deep this team was? Matt Millen, who was a legend with the Raiders, and he went to the Niners for a couple years. He was the backup to Kurt Gouvet. And Matt Millen was a stud starter for a decade. He was a backup, right? Monty Coleman was a backup on this team. And people still look at Monty Coleman like a legend. And
let's also not forget the special teams cheat code back in the day, the one and only Brian Mitchell. Like, you don't understand how many times that guy
should 100% be in the Hall of Fame.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. That guy put that team in such good position all the time. Like, when they punted the ball, you're like, man, he's got a chance to break it. And it, not like Devin Hester break it, because he didn't have that blazing speed. I think he just had really good vision. That's just my personal belief. But
he was a north-south runner in a position that has always lended itself to east-west.
Yeah,
everybody, because people like the east-west guys because it's exciting. You think of Deshawn Jackson.
Hey, Lamar was a quarterback in college.
He was. That's right.
Yeah, he was a quarterback in college, man.
And he was a third down back as a player. He was a third down back and a returner his entire career.
Yeah. And Chip Lemiller was only a 72% kicker that season, but he was 9 for 9 from 20 to 29 yards, 10 for 12 for 30 to 39, 10 for 17, 40 to 49. That's where he struggled.
72% was impressive in 1991.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and then 2 for 5 for 50 plus yards. So his longest he was 56 for 56 in extra points. His longest was 53 yards. So,
right.
I mean,
think about that. 56 for 56 extra points. We scored 56 touchdowns that season.
He was basically Haskins.
Here's the thing. Almost outscored. Listen,
honestly, he was basically Haskins. He got a cool name, Chip. He was basically Haskins.
You call Chip Lemiller the Haskins of kickers?
Haskins. No. I mean, hold on. Let's think about this for a second. If you can compare kickers, because there's no one on the field and all this shit, man. And to Haskins' defense, he got a Pro Bowl long snapper, most of all of his career, basically. So you can't really say anything about kickers. You can't say it was a whole different generation. Kicking is fucking kicking the ball.
Kicking
man, you put Chips numbers up and Haskins numbers up. Who's better?
Hold on. You got to compare eras, though.
Dwayne Haskins?
I'm just not Dwayne. Hopkins. My bad.
Hopkins. Okay.
Yeah, Hopkins.
Hold on. Let's compare. You got to compare the average. You got to compare the average kicker from then to now, because Chip Lemiller was doing McDonald's commercials.
I'm sure Hopkins got what's that? The little car place I got there. Everybody does a thing for
Eastern Motors.
Y'all
man.
remember
Eastern Motors commercial? Pretty sure it's a Hopkins Eastern Motors commercial.
Eastern Motors. Yeah.
Hold on, though. Do you remember those Jordan and Bird McDonald's commercials?
Oh yeah, anything you can do, I can do better.
They did the same thing with Chip Lemiller and Pete Stoyanovich of the Dolphins.
I remember Pete Stoyanovich, man.
This is how good our team is. Our kicker is getting McDonald's commercials. And
I used to love Chip Lemiller.
Do the more impressive kick.
Yeah. And let's also not forget that season, Charles Mann had 11.5 sacks. The rest of the sacks were spread out. Fred Stokes, number 60.
Fred Stokes,
6.5. Wilbur Marshall, 5.5. Bobby Wilson, Jumpy Gathers, Monty Coleman. They all had smaller numbers, but they were just relentless. But they were the number one offense in the NFL that year for points 4.
Getting out the quarterback like we were last
485 points. And then points against, number 2. But there was only 28 teams back then. But still, man, can you imagine that having the number one
Look at it this
scoring
way.
offense and the number 2 scoring defense?
Chip
you're
Miller
supposed to
was
win.
like, here's a crazy stat for you.
For real.
Chip Miller was Hopkins, man.
Chip Miller was like 2 field goals away from
Being
outscoring the entire Indianapolis Colts team that year.
How many points he get?
Like 142.
How many points did Hopkins get?
No idea.
Hopkins never got 142 points in this season.
Hopkins is terrible. But
I was so confused there for you. You kept talking about Haskins.
Yeah, Haskins.
Why
I'm
you
sorry.
compared Low Miller
Yeah,
Haskins?
Hopkins. Yeah, Hopkins. I'm saying after 45 yards, they the same dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, after 45 yards, they the same guy.
Here's the crazy thing. Did you know that Low Miller set a record that year? He was the first kicker in NFL history to hit 4 field goals in the game over 40 yards.
That's awesome.
That was
That's really
against
cool.
Dallas. That tells you how
was over 50
since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I said, man, if you miss almost all your kicks from 50 and beyond, your highest is 52, you ain't in the league. Like, you ain't making it. You're going to be Hopkins.
Yeah,
I can't keep over 50 yards consistently.
30 years
Everything else he's good for.
30 years ago.
Yeah,
Chip Miller was also like a weight room guy. Like most kickers back then were like the little soccer guys, soccer kickers.
It was him, then the guy from Florida
Miller
State.
was a bigger dude. Like he actually like hit weights. He'd go down and try to tackle returners.
Who was our punter that we had later in the years who was jacked?
Tom Tupa?
No, hold on.
Sauron?
No, we had Sauron for a minute. Yeah.
We had a dude who was just, he had some guns on
Reggie Roby? Do we have Reggie Roby?
We had Reggie Roby.
We did have Reggie
Roby.
Punter,
by the way. He was fantastic.
By the way, yeah. Black punter, too. You don't get enough of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
We're too busy being good at the rest of the job. Nah, punter, yeah, right. Way too black.
I wasn't going to say it, but
I'd be offended if I went on the football field and the coach said, "Hey, man, will you be a punter?" I'm black, coach. You sure?
You know what?
I can be a backup tight end and that shit. Like, this is some bullshit. My friends won't let me hang out with them if I'm a punter and I'm black. They won't let me do that.
Roby had like the highest kick too. Like if
Roby was fucking great.
Through, he damn near kneed himself in the face.
Number 4 came from the Dolphins, I believe.
I want to give me a Roby jersey. That's what I want. That you said that.
A good throwback. Yeah, we had good players on that team, man. Brad Edwards was another solid safety, number 27. Martin Mayhew, our current co-GM, another great addition back there in the.
Who?
Martin Mayhew.
Oh yeah. He's played with him on Tecmo Bowl 2. He played safety.
Yeah, Alvoid Mays, a great, just a great role player.
He was a great special team. But listen to this. Realize that their backup safeties were the starters in Super Bowl 22. Todd Bowles,
I thought Todd started still, right?
And Alvin Walton.
Yeah.
And
I thought Todd Bowles started 91.
No, he didn't start in 91. He was a backup in 91. He backed up Brad Edwards. They brought in Danny Copeland from Kansas City to move Walton to a backup role. Walton, I always that dude just hit people violently. He had
and 2 others on offense who never got the love, but I adored them because it was the first position I ever played from football, was our tight ends, Donnie Warren and Terry Orr. They both had the single face mask with the double going across and the single going down. That's the same face like I had. And
I had that too.
Dude, they were so good. And I guarantee they contributed to a lot of the hogs, the blocking. Those guys could block their asses off. You know what I mean? They were good. But they never really got the recognition.
We had 4 tight ends on that team. Think about it that way. We had Orr and Warren with the number, and then you had Ron Middleton, who always came in goal line package, and James Jenkins. And James Jenkins stuck around through all the North Turner years too. Like that dude never didn't have a job. It's so strange how he hung around forever. But Terry Orr was the pass receiver out of that whole group. Like the rest of them were just blockers, straight blocking. Terry Orr was the pass receiver. Like he could get open downfield in ways that none of our tight ends could. But no, I get that. It's interesting to say it because Gibbs ran a lot of that H-back offense. So he'd bring in a second tight end, usually Orr, as the H-back. Because we never had a traditional fullback. We ran single back offense with 3 receivers on the field most of the time.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. People always remember Gibbs for power running, and that team, as a team, rushed for well over what was it? We ran for something like over 2,000 yards with a single back offense and 3 different running backs back there.
Counter Trey, man. Counter Trey. I
counter
heard
Trey and counter gap. This
past
gap
week,
is the scheme. Counter Trey
for those who well, yeah, that's what I was alluding to with the single back stuff. For those who are in the DMV area, if you notice this week, 30-year anniversary, we're kind of rolling this one into our Washington Wayback series. It's been a while. This is kind of Phil's thing, so we'll just call this Washington Wayback number 2. But a lot of the players and the alumni from the 91-92 team have been on the radio this year and going back and forth. And I forget who called in and what channel, because I tried to listen as many as I could in the morning and then in the evening on the way home. But they were talking about Gibbs's scheme coming in and, trying to, I think it was Jeff Bostic, when they tried to install the Air Coryell, and they were struggling Gibbs's first year, and they finally figured it out. A lot of contribution, a lot contributed to that was when they altered their running scheme, to that counter gap, counter Trey. It was just Joe Gibbs' idea, and all of a sudden it just opened up the pass game. It was crazy.
It's when they decided to actually run, and you see that's happened to Gibbs twice, because for all the power running stuff, Gibbs liked to sling it around. In '89. Gerald Riggs was our primary back in '89, by the way. Ran for almost 900 yards. People forget Gerald Riggs once led the league in rushing when he played for Atlanta. He used to be a great running back. He transitioned into more of a secondary role and extended his career. But here's the crazy thing. 2 years before the Super Bowl year is when we had the 3,000-yard receivers. And Mark Rippon played that whole season too, right? Because Rippon had a gun on him. So Sanders, Monk, and Clark all went for over 1,000 yards in '89, and then they tried to keep on doing that into 1990. And then one day, Ernest Biner pulls a John Riggins. He goes into Gibbs and says, "If you want to make the playoffs, give me the ball. I will take it there." And that's what he did. And Biner, if you look at his last several games of '90, it was 100 yards, 100 yards, 150 yards, 120 yards. It was just constant 100-yard games. He went for 1,200 that year. That carried over into '91, where they had more balance. But Gibbs liked to throw the ball a lot. That Air Coryell never left his system. And you'll see that he always tuned the passing game to fit what he had. We never had a high-volume tight end during that first run with Gibbs, like somebody a tight end who caught 60 passes.
Right.
You never saw that in this offense, but you saw it the second time around. I'll tell you, one of the most adapted coaches I've ever seen is Joe Gibbs, because he always altered his schemes to fit the players. And if players were saying, "Hey, give me the ball," he didn't have the ego to say, "No, we're doing this my way." Okay, and he said, "No, okay, you think you can do it? We'll give you a shot."
That's right. Well, that's
a leader right there, people.
It is, and I'm just glad that we can call it a past, a piece of our history, past happening that we can always hold on to, and no one can ever take that away from us, regardless of what the name is, what it was, what it's going to be. We'll always have that. So props to Phil for carrying the load, giving us the rundown from the 91, actually going back to 89, big props to Phil. Thank you very much.
You gotta set it up, because it's such a great story.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched, go on YouTube, watch some of these games. It's fun to watch, because honestly, I think that unlike now where TV's kind of overproduced, it's a lot simpler. You can actually watch.
It's so authentic.
You're watching
You're right.
Football.
Right. You're not getting all these subliminal messages. It's just football with straight commentary and the terrible video quality. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's all VHS quality. But
for everyone listening, put your comment down below. What's your favorite memory of that 91-92 season? What's your favorite memory of that Super Bowl for those who are around? And, we hope that we can get to that point one day. But, hey, you know what? As Redskins fans, Washington football fans, whatever are going to be next week fans, I still hold true that this is the best team of all time. And I watched a lot of football, a lot of Super Bowls. I will always say that it is. And if anyone says anything else, you just gotta, kick through the door and tell them that's it. This is Sparta. We will kick you like Chip Muller did, or the old flat-footed toe kicker Mark Mosley himself. He ain't Hopkins. Well, let's transition real quick to the playoff games. Now that we got that out of the way, let's recap the games from last week. Great football once again. Before the season, before the last week's games, my game of the year was the Chargers and Raiders game that, where the Chargers called that timeout. Raiders ended up winning. But this past week and last weekend, let's just start off the Bills and the Chiefs, man. What a game. What a game. What a game. What a game. I thought the Bills were going to take it, to be honest with you. I really, really did. Really thought they're going to take it. Josh Allen had a great game, 329, 4 touchdowns. Pat Mahomes, 378, 3. Josh Allen led their team in rushing, 11 for 68, but he had this one rush where he just lowered it. I don't know why they didn't call it whatever the rule is for lowering your helmet and running over a dude, because he lowered his helmet and ran over a dude, pulled him out the game. The dude was like, half his size. But the other interesting part is Pat Mahomes also led the Chiefs in rushing, 7 attempts, 69 yards, which is crazy. And Tyreek Hill, of course, led the Chiefs in receiving for 150 and 1. And then Davis on the Bills, 8 receptions, 201 and 4 touchdowns for Gabriel Davis for the Bills.
And you don't get to say they should have do a flag on Allen without saying they should have do a flag on Hill for waving the 30-yard line.
For taunting. You're absolutely right. I don't know why they didn't.
That's classic taunt. Never had been a fight breakout, they would have blamed the Bills.
And how many times this season have we seen that for less?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. But it's crazy. I mean, and then when it happened, I yelled it. I was like, oh man. Like as soon as he waited, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna flag that. And they didn't. I was like, I'm waiting on somebody to say they threw a flag and we just didn't see it, and they didn't.
It's funny because they kept touting, the Bills are the number one defense in the season and number one this and number one that on defense. And Josh Allen manifested a fantastic drive to give that touchdown to Gabriel Davis with 13 seconds left. 13 seconds. And you know what? Everyone's talking about, change the rules, the overtime rules. They stink. How about this? How about you don't kick the ball in the end zone and not take time off? You do a squib kick, you're knocking off 3, maybe 4 seconds. They're down to 8.
Yeah.
Right? How about you not let Pat Mahomes go 70 yards in 7 seconds? How about you not do that? And how about you don't let them go 80 yards for a touchdown on the first drive in overtime? You're the number one defense in the NFL. Do your job. So,
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for Allen, man. Like I've been like, if anybody follows me on Twitter, I've been arguing with these guys about Allen versus Lamar Jackson all day, and I've been saying this the whole time. Say what you want to say about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has a better record in the regular season than Allen, and he's beat Allen every time, and he beat him in the playoffs. They came in the same year. One of them dudes got an MVP, a run-up MVP, and 2 All-Pros. You can't be better than a guy if you have none of those things. I don't care what you saw. It's what people do. Whenever Allen has a great game, and he did have a great day, and I think Allen will be a great player. Don't get it twisted. But if people live in the moment where they saw that, like, he's come now, he's arrived. They're doing the same thing to Burrow. Burrow wouldn't even been in the playoffs if Lamar hadn't got hurt.
They were both on 2 different trajectories. Jackson came in way better.
Jackson was the last pick in the first round. Allen was in the top 5 or 6.
But I know, but the scouting reports on Allen was that he's raw. He needs time. He wasn't ready.
Right.
I honestly think last
year they put him in and made the playoffs.
Year.
They put him in the middle of the year, and he got Rookie of the Year over Allen, by the way.
Yeah,
and went to the playoffs. Allen didn't. The second year they went to the playoffs. Allen didn't. Third year they went to the playoffs. Allen got beat by this guy.
Yeah.
So, and the only reason that Burrow made the playoffs this year, Baltimore was up 3 games and over Cincinnati with like 7 games left in the year, dog. They was up 3 games. Lamar gets injured, they go 1-5 or 1-6 or some shit, and get completely knocked out of the playoffs. They probably Cincinnati had a chance of not even going to playoffs if he plays. That's how good that guy is. The whole team fell off the map. The whole team fell off like the Lions felt. And see, this is why always people say I cape for Lamar. I like Allen, dog. I don't
like Peyton Manning, right? The team when he leaves, there's nothing left. But he's just gonna, as he gets older, you just gotta have to adapt your playing style. And they got.
He's younger than Burrows. He's younger than Burrows. Jackson's younger than Burrows.
He's not built like Josh Allen is built. Right, so it's the NFL, right? These guys are gonna take some massive hits. Allen's like Cam, right? Allen's built like Cam Newton. They can just
Lamar wasn't running over when he got hurt either. He got hurt.
No.
You know, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and they do the same thing to the boy on the Rams, Stafford. I like Stafford, bro, but let's just keep it real, man. Like Stafford was on the Lions for 9-12 years, some shit, and went to the playoffs 3 times and 0-3. If Lamar is on Buffalo or if Lamar is on Baltimore, they never make the playoffs and he goes 0-3 when he does make it. Y'all crushing that dude, man. I don't give a shit what you say because Lamar off of Baltimore is the Lions. The record shows that.
I don't think it's fair to. They're different types of players. Their teams are managed. One team's managed well.
Lamar Jackson on Buffalo, man. I don't know. Lamar Jackson off of Baltimore is basically the Lions, man. They got the same record. The Lions suck.
So Baltimore sucks with the Baltimore is. You're saying without Lamar, Baltimore's talent level.
No, I'm saying their record is. Don't care. They're
Huntley. Who was the guy that came in and relieved?
Huntley balled up. Huntley 1-6 though. You know, you can say all you want. Somebody balled up. It's 1-6. You know,
I don't think Huntley, RG3, whoever you want to throw out there was nearly. You can't. I don't see any of them as capable starting quarterbacks. They're backups,
man.
And I know I just trash RG3. Now I'm talking about Baltimore RG3.
Right,
was not an NFL starting caliber quarterback. Todd Hundley is not an NFL starting caliber quarterback. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. So that's not a fair comparison because you're putting Baltimore. You're putting them with sub starting caliber QBs. Now, I'm not talking about great. I'm just saying you're talking. Baltimore.
I'm talking about the Lions of golf.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was just a bad year for even when he was healthy. Lamar had a bad year. This was not a good year.
Lamar was the MVP candidate until the last game of the year when he threw like 4 interceptions. Then he got hurt in this game.
He was not.
And Lamar Jackson, if you watch ESPN before he got injured, when they listed their MVP candidates in their top 3 every time Lamar was there. Last game he had those bunch of interceptions, then he got hurt. Yeah. And then it was over.
I mean, he was sitting at like 16-10. 16-10, not even 3,000 yards. Did he even have 3,000? No, he had like 2,700.
He got hurt like 6 or 7 games. Then he had COVID a bunch of times.
He had a ton of rush. He almost had 800 rushing yards. That's probably
he was
over the top.
He was ready to have 3,500 passing and probably 1,200 yards rushing, dog. That was unheard of. That's what he looked like he was going to have. And people hate on it, which I'm cool with. I'm cool with anybody who likes Allen. I think Allen's great, man. I'm not gonna knock Allen at all. But I'm saying, dude, how can you put Allen above him when he ain't played better than that?
I don't think it's fair to compare the two at all.
I think it's completely fair.
Type of players.
They both play quarterback. They both came in the exact same year. They both play each other all the time. One has beat the other in the playoffs. One has an MVP of the Year award. One has 2 All-Pros. The other has done nothing but throw a bunch of yards. Let's just keep it real, dog. There's a bunch of quarterbacks throwing a bunch of yards. We can say what we want to say about quarterbacks, but like, for instance, we go back to Matt Stafford, right? Matt Stafford don't win a Super Bowl. He's a failure, bro. They got 2 to the Super Bowl with golf. How the fuck would you trade 3 first rounds to get the exact same place you could have got with golf?
Because Stafford is 10,000 times better than Jared Goff.
But you're going to get the same result. In the end result, the goal, you play to win the game, right? Isn't that the saying? So you tell me you're going to pay 3 first round picks and $40 million for a quarterback that gets you the same distance as a guy who ain't getting none of that. But you saying that's a good thing to do. That's crazy as fucking shit. That's crazy as fucking shit. Look, they had Stafford got beat 40-18 or 30-18 against the 49ers this year already once, man. What do you think he's going to do in the playoffs?
But didn't they also beat Didn't they also beat San Fran as well?
No, they haven't beat San Fran 6 straight games. They haven't beat San Fran since 2016, bro. They haven't beat San Fran in 3 years.
No, they lost 31-10, and they lost.
Yeah, they haven't beat them in 3 years, Steve. You look it up.
27.
They haven't beat them since 2016, man. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If Matt Stafford wins tomorrow, That ain't proving shit to me. Like y'all can say all this stuff. Oh, he beat the Cardinals. Cardinals don't have their best player, dog. They ain't been good since he been out. They're like 2-6 since Hopkins went down, man. Who they beat the first game?
So what's your standard? You keep moving the goalposts.
No, I'm not moving the goalposts. My top 3 quarterbacks have been the same for like 3 years, man.
No, but I'm saying Matt Stafford.
You keep moving the goalposts for him. Aaron Rodgers and your boy Lamar. Top 3 quarterbacks.
Okay, he just beat Brady. What if he goes in and he beats?
And he beat Brady. I give him credit for Brady. I give him credit for Brady. But here's the problem with beating Brady. You beat Brady, he didn't have Godwin or your boy out there, Brown. That's a less team. You know what I'm saying? There's always some kind of thing going on as why he's winning. He's never beat a complete team, dog. That dude's never won a playoff game at all. And now when he wins, you're playing the Cardinals without their team, and you're playing the Tampa Bay without their team. Beat San Fran and you beat the Chiefs, then I'll say something. I'm willing to say Matt Stafford is a good quarterback, man. I'm willing to say he's an elite quarterback. He wins Super Bowl. You don't win Super Bowl, you basically golf, because golf did that, bro. Golf did that.
Goff got to Super Bowl and then played like
ass. He did. Stafford got to get there and not play like ass, though. So Stafford get to the Super Bowl and plays like ass, then what y'all going to say about Stafford?
They played like ass in the Super Bowl, but he's still a good quarterback because he's got better body work than Jared Goff.
Exactly. But you can't say that because Jared Goff's won more games than that guy.
Yeah, but so hold on. So
I don't think Goff's better than Stafford. Anybody thinks
okay, you're caveating all of Matt Stafford's wins, but you're giving Goff the credit for going to the Super Bowl. I don't understand.
No. I'm not. I'm giving Goff the credit. I'm saying the Rams. I would think if they don't win the Super Bowl, this year was a waste, dog. It's a mistake. And they don't have enough cap space to re-sign half of those guys again next year. So what are they going to do? I think it was a horrible mistake, bro. And if they don't win the Super Bowl, if they do, then hey, y'all did the best thing ever. Y'all did the thing. But if y'all don't win the Super Bowl, man, and none of us in here got to beat the Chiefs,
Goff gets zero credit for that going to the Super Bowl. Zero.
Crazy.
Zero.
All right. Well, if Stafford don't win it, then what are you gonna say about him then?
Listen.
If Stafford goes to Super Bowl and loses, are you gonna give Stafford credit for going to Super Bowl? How does that make sense? How does that make sense when he's playing hurt teams all the way there? How does it make sense?
22 touchdowns and 60 interceptions. You're telling me Goff gets credit to go to the Super Bowl that year? 22 touchdowns, 60 interceptions.
How many did Russ get when the LOB won?
Let me say.
You know what I'm saying? How many did Different get when the Ravens won?
I will give Jared Goff more credit for going to the Super Bowl than I will give Trent Dilfer for winning his Super Bowl.
Nah, I won't. You gotta put.
Trent Dilfer didn't even start half that season. Most of that season was started by Tony Banks.
What that tells me is a guy that don't start all season can go on a team that's real good on defense and offense and win a Super Bowl. But Stafford, who's the elite quarterback in most odds, can't go to a team that has all pros everywhere and win Super Bowl. I look at that as a slap at the guy didn't win at Georgia. The guy ain't winning in the NFL, dog. He's not a winner. He's Karl Malone, bro. He didn't Karl Malone got
the That's like saying the Jets or the Browns.
Again, Lamar Jackson's on the Ravens. What are the Ravens record without him?
Run this back. If he's Karl Malone, Karl Malone's considered one.
Karl Malone with the championship. So
you're saying that Matthew Stafford is one of the three best quarterbacks in NFL history?
Karl Malone's a bad example. He's Deadlift Shrimp. Then how about we? Deadlift Shrimp. He's Charles Oakley. I'll give that.
Don't hit on man Deadlift like that.
Matt Stafford is Charles Oakley, man. He's good. He's good enough to start, man. Other than that, you might win. If everybody else is good, I love Matt Stafford though. I would love him to be on our team.
He doubled Jared Goff's touchdown. 41 touchdowns this year.
He's a way better quarterback than Goff, dog. But he's going to end up with the same. You're going to end up with the same result for all that money and picks. But that's going to be a hard pill to swallow, man. If you're an owner, I gave up 3 firsts and $40 million a year to get a guy that did the exact same thing as this bum, and you had an easier path because everybody got hurt.
That depends. If he does it again next year, even if he doesn't win it, if he gets him that far again next year,
they're not going to make it next year. Everybody's a free agent, man.
I would say the Rams had the easier path that year. But look who they were playing. Arizona Cardinals had nobody.
Arizona made playoffs?
Nobody. No. The year Jared Goff went Super Bowl, there was no Kyler. Who did the Cardinals have? They had nobody, right? The 49ers, they had nobody. They had nobody.
Went to Super Bowl the year before that.
No, they went to Super Bowl 4 years before that.
They went to Super Bowl 2 years ago, man, with Garoppolo and lost.
That year was
that was
Seattle
after
Seahawks.
That was
That's what I'm saying. He went to Super Bowl. He went to Super Bowl straight right after that. That's what I'm saying. Right after that, he went to Super Bowl. The Niners were good.
Team was very different than the one that was.
They haven't beat the Niners since. They haven't beat them since at all. They haven't won a game.
Good
against the niggas. They were the same team. They were just injured. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Those guys were hurt. So
you're saying that when Goff beats injured teams, he's almost as good as Stafford.
No. What I'm saying is everybody looks
when Stafford beats hurt teams. Well, it diminishes Stafford, but when it doesn't diminish Goff.
No, what I'm saying is that we have these built-in excuses for Matt Stafford, man. It's always, the team ain't good enough. It's always something. No one else gets the benefit of the doubt. You can throw 100 million yards. That's just like I was telling you about Lamar. Like, there's some, Allen threw like 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. Lamar threw 5 touchdowns in that game and lost in the playoff game a year or two ago. It's crazy shit.
Run this back. How many Super Bowls has Aaron Rodgers won? He's considered one of the 3 best quarterbacks of all time.
One, but they win all the time and they go to playoff, and he's the reason why.
Super Bowls are not.
He's the reason.
Ultimate. That means Eli Manning he's got 2. He's fucking elite and dope. No, he's terrible.
Right.
Eli Manning's garbage. Matthew Stafford's better than Eli Manning.
I agree. If Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl one time, but he's still good every year, and his team makes the playoffs every year, that's one thing. Stafford hadn't done none of that. He don't win it at all. If Aaron Rodgers was not going to playoffs but 3 times in 9, 10, 12 years, y'all be clowning Aaron Rodgers, bro.
They
clown Aaron Rodgers for winning 1 Super Bowl and in the playoffs. Matt Stafford ain't making the playoffs most of his career. Nobody says shit.
Let me ask you this.
See how weird that is?
I'm going to ask you this. Is Ben Roethlisberger, taking everything in consideration, definitively better than Matthew Stafford?
Oh, Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. I'll give you that. But the problem with this is that if they ain't trade for Matthew Stafford and lose, it's not necessarily about the rings. It's about the winning and the rings. It's a combination, bro. If you got no rings and no playoff wins, what are you, bro? If you're a good quarterback with no playoff wins and no rings, what are you? What quarterback survives that?
He's got playoff win now.
Yeah, against fucked up teams. They ain't got nobody there.
You can't put an asterisk next to a victory, bro. It's either a win or a loss. It doesn't matter.
I'll give it to you. I'm still on the Stafford bandwagon, bro. If he wins it. If he don't win it, man, that dude's just a good quarterback. He's basically Russell Wilson to me, bro. And I like Russell Wilson. Yeah, I know y'all think I don't, but Russell Wilson has done shit.
Like Russell Wilson. Don't even
I like Russell Wilson, bro. Russell Wilson ain't did shit since LB left. I mean, that's what you want to say.
Anyway,
you want to count quarterbacks in the last 4 years since when Lamar got there?
All right. Well, here's the thing: we got 2 interesting championship games for 2 totally different reasons.
49ers.
Right. You got 49ers Rams, which you got the Rams, which are like supposed to be the team this year, but they can't beat the 49ers. They can't.
By the way, shotguns, man. We ain't bringing you on we ain't bringing you on ever again, bro. You convinced us the Packers are going to win that shit. They couldn't score more than 10 points. What are you doing? Everything you run through Green Bay. I listened to that podcast this week. Hey, listen to this. They can't play in cold weather. They can't come to Green Bay. Everything comes through Green Bay. Imagine tackling.
They can't tackle the big old guys running backs and dealing.
Yep. Jimmy Garoppolo came in through for 130 yards and they won. Rodgers had zero interest in playing that game. He had zero interest.
And they're making this like hell. He try to say Bose ain't gonna get to him. Oh, Bose is great. Garoppolo sucks.
Sports, by the way, Yahoo Sports with their wonderful use of language says Aaron Rodgers gets canceled again by the 49ers and all this other stuff. I'm like, your choice of language is real.
This is why I don't like judging quarterbacks for the win-loss record. The win-loss record of a quarterback is not a fair stat. Because Jimmy Garoppolo is not amazing. He wins. Right.
It is not a fair stat, but you can't. It is not a fair stat, but you can't dismiss it, and you also can't take it. You have to take into account that the reason why teams are winning or losing, or if they're the reason. Are you? Guess to be real honest, man. Do y'all think the Rams wouldn't win the Super Bowl with another quarterback or wouldn't be there? You think the Rams couldn't have won these games without Stafford? They won them last year. Man. What's he doing that Goff didn't do? That's all I'm saying, dog. And you paid. Well, Goff was for that. Went to the fucking Super Bowl, dog. You know what I'm saying? And Goff ever made even
was productive?
No. I mean, he might have made it. I wonder if he made it in by.
If you made it in by whatever, you still made it, bro. I mean, Heineken ain't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, bro. Like, I don't know, like, what everybody's obsession is with Matt Stafford. I love him. I would like him to be here. I ain't put 3 first round picks.
I don't know where you're talking about. I haven't heard of an obsession with Matt Stafford. People just realize he's a good quarterback, and that's that. I don't think anyone's obsessed with him.
He is a really good quarterback.
Really bad teams.
He wasted his early years with a really crappy franchise. That's the bottom line.
He wasted his middle of his years.
But if he don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a waste. You wasted it. You fucked up, and you ain't gonna be resigning all these guys. Next year, the league's gonna be tougher. And by the way, the 49ers, man, what do you do if you're them at the end of the year? Do you trade Garoppolo and try to get Aaron Rodgers in? If Garoppolo goes to the Super Bowl,
you have Trey Lance. You go with Trey Lance. First round pick.
If they say give me Trey Lance, which trade you Aaron Rodgers, what do you do?
Trade Aaron Rodgers for Trey Lance?
Right, for Green Bay. If Aaron Rodgers don't want to be there, you know what I'm saying? You're going to trade him.
Is Aaron a free agent, though?
No, he redid his contract so that he can get out this year without it being a cap casualty to the Packers. Like, he redid his contract last year so that he could be traded or leave this year without it hurting the cap of the Packers. He's set up this year to either retire or be traded. So I'm wondering if he's not coming back, like, if you're the 49ers, that's where he wants to go. What do you do?
Yeah, so let's see, 2021, 2022 could be an out. If he were to be released pre-June 1st, it's a $26 million dead cap. Traded after June 1st, $26 million dead cap. Released after they're taking a $19 million dead cap no matter what.
But their idea is they lowered it so they could trade him. You could trade Aaron Rodgers with $19 million.
They can restructure his contract and they can work wonders. That's how they do it. But
right, they can get rid of him at $19 million. You can move that around for anybody for Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, he's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, really, 2023 is. Yeah, I mean, if you're the 49ers and he said he's not going to a rebuild, so he ain't coming to Washington because we're rebuilding every year. If you ask the coach.
Well, here's the thing. All right, we're in year 3 of a rebuild. Are you at the point now where where getting a guy like Rodgers puts you in a much different position?
It's about performance now. Right. We took 2 years for culture. Okay, culture's good. Let's put it on the field and win.
So you don't think how many games you think we win this year if we had Aaron Rodgers-ish type quarterback? Because I feel like we would have won 1 or 2 more games if Cole didn't kill our team at the end of the year.
11 maybe. Just on the quarterbacking alone. But think about it. Heineke had 16 interceptions. I don't know. And think about how many he had 35 sacks-ish.
Heineke won 5 or 6 of those games, putting the team on his back.
He did with very late drives for scores. Yeah.
But he did. Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, if COVID hadn't hit us, I think we definitely would have got 1 more. But I think we could have got at least 2 more wins if COVID hadn't killed us. And that's looking at 8, 9 wins.
Yep.
So if you add Aaron Rodgers to that, I mean, I know it's crazy and all the injuries, but I don't think this is as bad of a rebuild as anybody think. I think the defense was starting to play really good about a game or 2 before Young got hurt.
Yeah.
And I think, whenever Landon moved down to a linebacker-ish position, I think the defense got good enough to where if they hadn't all got injured out and COVID hadn't hit and Sam was not even how to play, they would have won 9 games or so.
They invested so much in the defense, and for all those players to get hurt, it was like it was a pointless investment. You don't know when people are going to get hurt, but all those first round picks being out, it is what it is. But the last game we didn't talk about last week was the Bengals and Titans. The Titans were Phil's pick to go all the way to the Super Bowl, and they also showed up and just didn't perform against the Bengals. I mean,
they're talking about cutting Tannehill on the news.
Yeah, and then you hear people talking about Tannehill like, oh, he's not our guy. Like, you go on Twitter, people were dogging Tannehill like, hey, it's time to trade him and move on already. I'm just like, dude, I would kill for someone like Tannehill's caliber on our team, and you guys are talking about trading him. Like, he's 2-3 successful years with him.
I could get him for 20, I'd do it. But if you got to pay $40-something million, I don't want Tannehill. Like
I would no, not at that price point. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I'm with you.
I don't think Ryan Tannehill thinks he's worth that price.
Shit, how much Ryan Tannehill getting right now? About 30.
Well, he just resigned a big deal.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what you'd have to give him. That's the going rate. No matter if he's worth it. That's the going rate. Like Lamar's going to get like 46, 50 million, bro. That's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the cap keeps going up, and the TV revenues keeps going up. So they're just going to keep the percentage of the cap for quarterbacks is just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher.
And games like last week aren't going to make it even better for that cap. That's always good. NFL is a great product, bro.
Yeah, it is, man.
They proved that.
All 4 games ended in walk-offs. Never happened before, ever. All 4 games. Isn't that crazy? Walk-off.
Earned another $1 billion in revenue.
Dude, I mean, every team just gets hell. Even we get, what is it, $100 billion? I'm sorry, $200 million a year for TV revenue. I got to go back and do my research. I knew this at one point. Every team gets $200 million for showing up, or is it $100? No, $110 million just for showing up from TV
pay the whole salary cap.
It's crazy, man. It's insane. Insane. Tannehill right now, he is getting, I got it up right here.
His contract structure is
$27 million. 29 is 29 for next year.
Right.
So he's guaranteed
after 1.5 this past year.
Yeah. In 2020, he got $17.5 million with a $5 million sign bonus.
He was on We Got You from Miami, see if you got anything contract. And then once he approved that, he got that 30. And that's what you're going to pay a guy like that. And he's like a C quarterback, bro.
$29 million next year. $29 million next year.
C quarterback.
Yeah. $29 million with a $5 million signing bonus. So
proof that if
that was like a B plus A quarterback.
If we want a QB, we have to pony up the money.
Man, if you want to pony up $30 million for Tannehill, you're going to win the same amount of games as you won with fucking Heineke.
Yeah, I don't know. For Heineke, for $2 million for Heineke next year.
Right. You talking about 20?
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to bring someone in, it's got to be someone who's up here. But the question is, what's the threshold? What's the lowest?
This is the lowest I'm going, dog. Russ Carr, Kirk.
Yes.
That's the lowest I'm going.
So we'll just transition. We won't talk too much about quarterbacks, but Russ would be sufficient.
Yeah.
Rodgers would be sufficient.
Sure.
Is Carr sufficient?
Yeah, depends on how much you pay him. Like you got to pay him $30 million, maybe not. You know, and that's what. And then you also got to come up with picks to get him because you got to trade for him.
Right,
so that's the only deal. Right, that's the problem I have with Carr. Other than that, if you just had to give him 30, I'd be like, fuck it, yeah. But if you got to give him 30 and 2 first-round picks, I'm like, you know what? I don't know about that one.
Well, Carr is only making $19 million next year. 19.7. That's a bargain.
But you're gonna have to resign him.
You will. You have to resign him. Because you could potentially lose him in free agency. So it'd probably be
probably have to resign him before he gets here.
Extension before he gets here.
Right.
But I think
like $40 million to get him.
You sign one of these top tier free agent quarterbacks or guy you trade for, I think you have to trade Heineke.
I don't think you have to trade Heineke because you just have to get somebody so good that he's clearly
back.
You have to get somebody so good that they can go and throw 2 or 3 interceptions and you don't be like, bitch for Heineke. That's how good the quarterback has to be, bro.
People clamor for him, man. People clamor for him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you got to go out and get somebody that can play. Hell, fucking go get Phillip Rivers or somebody, man. I'd rather have that shit.
He's retired.
I'd rather have Phillip old-ass Rivers in here versus.
Speaking of which, Adam Schefter broke earlier this afternoon that Tom Brady was retiring, and lo and behold, it hasn't been confirmed. He recanted his original statement.
So he's not retiring?
Not confirmed yet. Brady, the team was shocked. Everyone was shocked. It is not confirmed that Tom Brady is retiring.
What, man. If I'm Tom Brady, I could name one reason why I'd retire, and that reason would be Giselle.
Yeah, Father Time.
Me and Tom Brady are the exact same age. And when I say exact, we're both born on the exact same day in the exact same year now. Me and Tom Brady, exact same time. I'm telling you, as all of us August 1977 babies are concerned, is that if a supermodel comes to me and says, look, honey, I understand you like to be chased around the field by grown-ass sweaty men, but you already won a bunch of championships. How about you come home and get some of this, supermodel booty? I would be home. I don't know. Giselle would have to ask me twice to stay the fuck home from work.
Yeah. So real quick before let's make this our last talking point. This weekend's games, we got the Bengals and Chiefs and the Niners and the Rams. So the Bengals are at the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 7, and the Niners are at the Rams, who are favored by 3.5. So real quick, Phil, who you got this weekend between the two games? Bengals, Chiefs, Niners, Rams.
Well, I'll go with the easy one first. I got the Chiefs. I think they just look. I think the Bengals are going to make this an interesting game for a while. I just think that the Chiefs, they've done it before, and they know what they're doing. The Bengals are next year's team, not this year's team. So I think that I just see the Chiefs pulling away in the fourth quarter. They just have too many weapons, and they're too creative. Burrow's going to do some things with those receivers, but look, they stole that one from Tennessee. Tennessee gave them that game. You got to remember, Tennessee got 9 sacks on Joe Burrow, the most sacks ever given up by a team who won a game in the playoffs.
Yep.
It's not going to happen again. I don't think the Chiefs' defense is as good as the Titans.
I wonder why Tennessee stopped running
with a much better offense.
And Tennessee had no sense of urgency that last 2 drives.
Oh my God, that last drive!
It was what are you guys doing? Like
they just stopped running,
playing for the field goal.
They were imposing their will on Cincinnati in the run game, and they just stopped. I don't know. I mean,
I don't even think they did a good job. I think they leaned too heavily on Derrick Henry. I think they should have mixed it up more.
Foreman.
I don't think because Henry.
You can't mix it up.
Henry was in his first game back. There was just a slight hesitation that he normally doesn't have hitting the hole, and I think he was just getting his game legs under him. And it's like you should have stopped at 15 carries with him.
Yeah,
Dante Foreman is good. Give him the ball.
I think dude Henry was getting like 6 yards of carry in the second half. They just didn't give him the ball. It was something ridiculous. He was killing them. Like the last drive they ran on the ball, he was getting like 6 yards of carry on them dudes. Man, they stopped running.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like I've never seen anything like it. That is almost sabotage.
Well, hold on, because Derrick Henry went 20 carries for 62 yards.
Yeah.
His longest run of the game was 9.
Yeah, but he was running the second half is when all of them came. He was getting.
Towards the latter half, they were doing really well with the run.
Yeah, I mean Dante Foreman was the one who had 66 yards on 4 carries. Yeah. Foreman's a solid back. I mean, that dude, I really thought should have been more in the mix. But anyway, I just think the Chiefs have too many weapons. They can beat you in 3 different ways. They're more creative on offense than Tennessee, and they can lean on their quarterback a lot more to win.
Cincinnati has good defense, bro.
Yeah. So we're all going Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs. Phil, you're going Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Deb, you going Chiefs?
We're
going Chiefs. Okay, Chiefs it is. Second game, we're going across the other side to the NFC. We got Rams and Niners. Deb, who you got?
49ers.
Oh,
six straight wins, man. Until you beat them, you can't beat them, bro. Like until you beat them,
can't argue with that.
The Rams should win, bro. Like if the Rams win, don't be surprised. That's what should happen. But they're not gonna beat them, man. They should have beat them 6 straight times. Can't beat them. Why makes anybody think today's gonna be the day? You got a guy who ain't won a playoff game in 12 years. All of a sudden he wins 2. And all of a sudden he's gonna beat the 49ers. Something he ain't even done twice. He had 2 chances. The 49ers ain't done it yet.
Okay.
All of a sudden you're gonna win it this time.
I'm picking the Rams. to win.
It's the safe thing to do.
So I'm the tiebreaker. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think that at some point they're too good to keep losing to the 49ers. And I think that they have the Niners have the confidence. The Niners have the confidence of all these recent wins over the Rams. The Rams have the motivation to. You can't look past the Super Bowl. You're gonna face these guys who have been your kryptonite. I think that their entire focus this season, their entire season focus is on this game.
And the 49ers offense has just been putrid the last 4 weeks. It's been terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo tried to give it to the Cowboys. Tried to give it to the Cowboys. Tried to give it to the Packers. The other team still couldn't do it. The teams they and I don't know. Dallas was fool's gold anyways, right? They didn't play no real teams either. So
look,
it's going to be a great game. But which game will be better?
I hate Shanahan, man. I hope Shanahan loses every game.
Yeah,
I hate Cal Shanahan. I hope they lose every game. I hate them. I hope the Niners lose, but they ain't losing to the Rams, bro.
Okay, fair enough. So for all we know, it could be the freaking 49ers and Bengals. We could all be wrong on the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are beatable.
Rematch
for them lose.
Full time.
Rams, man. I tell you, Stafford messes up a chance to go to the Super Bowl in his own stadium, dog. Never live that down, bro. He'll never live that down. They get 3 first-round picks, a Super Bowl in their stadium, and you don't make it, dude.
So I will say this: the Rams' defense is head and shoulders better than the Packers. So I just don't see how. I don't see how they don't. I will be completely shocked if they don't beat the 49ers.
They haven't beat them yet.
I know, but everyone's healthy. Everyone's in a groove. This is the playoffs, and they've been lights out in the playoffs. So
they haven't been lights out in the playoffs. They barely won both games. Nah, they did.
No, they dominated the Bucks.
They dominated the Bucks.
Yeah, they dominated everybody. So,
the Bucks had a shot at the end, bro. Tripping.
They came back. I mean, it was almost a Brady Patriots versus
Falcons. Brown there.
Yeah, it was almost very close, but they held off. Sean McVay went conservative, stupid on his part. After they were up by like 25, 20, whatever the score was.
I don't think you have to worry about that because I don't think the Rams are going to get up like that.
They won't. They'll have to keep the throttle on the whole game.
And if it's a close game, man, Niners win that one.
I think McVay's got the motivation to keep the throttle on the whole game too.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking for a while, fellas. We got 2-2-22 coming up next week on Wednesday. Wednesday. So I think we'll try to get together and have a live show on Wednesday, and we'll just figure out and talk about what the name is. So Wednesday morning, we'll know what the name is.
Red Wolves.
Bright and early. Hopefully, all the misdirection. Maybe it is Red Wolves. Remember, Jason Wright was on Pat McAfee's show talking about, misdirection is the opposite of transparency. Sometimes too much transparency is bad. And so who knows at this point? We're seeing Commanders. Everyone's saying it's Commanders. I don't give a shit personally. Just
remember when it was supposed to be Admirals? Because there was that redirect from Washington Admirals to Washington.
It got changed in like 6 hours back to giving.org. I don't even know what it is now because I haven't checked. But you're right.
They're saying the same thing because there's a redirect from Commanders to the Washington football team website. It's like, y'all realize that people could buy domain names like that.
You can look into
the latest hubbub was. So there's a company called Mark Monitor. They are a company that manages URLs for billion-dollar corporations. That's all they do. They manage it. They get it and they hold it and they give it to someone else to manage. Someone had obtained commanders.com, and Mark Monitor owns the rights to commanders.com as of right now. The old Washington Redskins page was originally obtained by GoDaddy.com, and it changed. The last update was July 22nd, 2020. The name Washington football team was announced July 23rd, 2020. So the current team's website is run by GoDaddy. That's the bottom line right now. So that's
pretty much national treasure in this whole thing, man. Like Indiana Jones trying to get the fucking name. I don't know.
Washington Commanders, though, is owned by another company. People are saying commanders.com. Well, I don't know why. We're WashingtonFootballTeam.com right now. I don't know why. Or WashingtonFootball.com. It could be DC Football. It could be DC Football FC. It could be. There's a ton of different URLs you could manage it. So it's all smoke and mirrors. Who knows? It's all probably deliberate leaks. Good on them. It's a fun game, right?
Keeps us talking.
I'm trying to cough on y'all.
Keeps us talking. That's right. And then Friday, I have tickets. I don't know if I can make it to it's $5 a vehicle to the post name celebration at FedEx Field in a parking lot. I'll have all my 3 boys. I don't know if I can make it Friday. I'm going to try, but we shall see. We shall see.
I think that's cool to doing stuff like that too. I mean, roll out everything. Apparently, I mean, I know it's kind of expected, but it seems like the players are feeling whatever the new jersey is.
Yeah, a lot of the alums, they didn't say they didn't like the name. They just said, we'll rally behind it. It was clearly obvious they probably didn't like it, but they were good sports about it. They didn't say it sucked. They just we'll be fans no matter what.
By the way, this is where I'm gonna. A lot of people still have this fear that somehow once we get first it was when we get the Washington football team. Now it's when we get a new name. They're going to erase anything that says Redskins. Now, did you all watch that 30th anniversary special? Joe Gibbs used the phrase Redskins like 17 million times.
It ain't going nowhere.
It ain't going nowhere. And I can say this as a fan ambassador on the history and culture side. I will tell you this. The team is not running or trying to hide the fact that this was the name. It's just that it's not going to be the name going forward. All right. And it's not that the team won't they changed it. Look, the new conspiracy is that Dan Snyder did this because he wanted to make a whole bunch of money off of New Jersey sales. No, Dan Snyder had to change the name because he was going to lose way more money not changing the name. He would have lost the naming rights to the stadium. He would have had no merch to sell because Nike was going to pull all the merch.
And FedEx threatened to lose the sponsorship of the stadium.
Stadium naming rights. You know how much money that is? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can't sell any official merch. You can't sell official merch in your team stores. You can't sell them online. And you can't even have the naming for your stadium because it's been pulled. And now you got to go find someone else. And they're going to try to get you at a cut rate because they know you're in a disadvantaged situation.
Didn't
they want to mess with you at this point. No. They changed the name out of financial necessity.
But why Groundhog Day? What's the relevancy in Groundhog Day is what I'm trying to figure out.
No, it's
saying the same thing over again. Watching the football team.
That's where I was alluding
Groundhog
to.
Day.
I don't know.
It's the Washington.
Throwing up the Rockefeller Records song. The Dallas page or Rockefeller Records
building.
It's the Washington Rock. 22 twos. Jay-Z. Look it up.
How many people will be upset on February 2nd? There's going to be a lot of people, regardless of what the name is.
Everybody, I'll be upset too.
You're going to see a bunch of preteen-minded people get mad that it's not Red Wolves.
Yeah.
Because
I'll get mad it's not Red Wolves.
And then you're going to see hey, I told you so. It was whatever. You're gonna see those.
Oh, it's like Knights or something. Nobody gets like the fucking Charltons or some shit.
So we're all just mad. Everyone's just
the Washington Gonads or some shit. Like I want to be like some atrocious
Washington Rocks.
Beans.
Someone nobody was even thinking about. And then we'll all just be sad and be like, huh?
Washington Cars or something like.
I don't even know how to celebrate.
Blanket name.
Just don't give me a 3-syllable team. Give me a
2-syllable. Give me Diamonds. Give me Diamonds. We'll just all throw up the rock.
Washington Starfish. Like. No one has Starfish.
I mean, it's going to be at 8 or 8:30 on the Today Show Wednesday morning. I'm going to try to.
I'll be at work unless I have COVID. Oh, I'll be off. I'll be off for COVID. See, God works.
I go into work late that day, so I will actually get to watch it live if I remember to wake up.
Well, what's the date? What's the date?
February 2nd, 2/2/22.
I mean, what's the date right now?
Today's the 29th.
Yeah, I'll be off. I'm off for like 7 days because I have.
And now you're going to see the people who are pissed off. You're going to see the people who are happy with it. You're going to see the people who are, I don't care. Let's just move on. That's me. You're going to see the people who are the I told you so's because their name is actually aligned with what they said. And you're going to see the people who are like, fuck this. I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
I feel like I'm gonna be like just like you. I don't care unless it's the Red Wolves. I'm gonna be like, I told y'all so. If it's the Red Wolves, I can't wait.
I'll be a little happy if it is, just because I could get down with that name.
I want to just be on the pod with Phil when it happens. It's gonna be like the best day ever.
Phil's just gonna be like,
I may turn my phone off. I will call off work and I will sit in a dark corner all day just drinking.
Yeah, either way,
lost a bet to Marcus Davis, and how in the world do I lose a bet to Marcus
and we will bring him on this podcast, and we will talk about it. And we will talk about it.
Can we bring him on this podcast?
What is the bet, David? When is the bet? What is the bet?
I don't think we have a bet.
If it was Red Wolves, it's simply whether or not it's Red Wolves. If it's Red Wolves, I had to buy him a Red Wolves jersey.
Oh, snap.
That's fair.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
You get bootleg.
But I told him, straight up, it's not.
You're going to get one from Alibaba.com.
Or one of the people in our Facebook group who we kick out every day.
You're going to get a jersey from H. Greg.
Here's the funny thing. All right. You'll notice that since they said it's not Red Wolves, we have not seen hide nor hair of Marcus anywhere. He's not in the comment sections of our pod.
He's made a few comments here and there, mostly about
he's disappeared
quarterbacks in, and this team isn't ready for a good quarterback. This team isn't ready for a rookie quarterback. Apparently, we're not ready for any quarterback. So
Marcus isn't ready for his name not to be Red Wolves. That's what the thing is.
I'm riding to Washington. My daughter got me this hat for Christmas.
What is it?
It says Washington on it somewhere.
So man, they're gonna fool us all and just stay a football team, and then we'll just be like, all right, whatever.
Well, I mean, that means I could keep on to this logo.
Yeah, I have all this. I'm the dumbass that buys all the friggin' stuff that goes with it. So
what do you think is going to be, Steve?
What do I don't know. Like I really, really, really don't know.
I have no idea either. They got me.
I gave idea.
I gave up a little while ago, and I was like, "Yeah, they got." I can't guess it. There's too many. There's too many tips.
So it's not. What do I think it is? It comes down to what do you want it to be? Because I don't know what it is. You can't all the misdirection. I don't know. And if you ask me, I don't care. But if I literally you're holding a gun to my head and I had to choose something, I'll just go with Red Wolves because it's the easiest. It's the easiest thing to relate to with marketing and with themes in the stadium and with all the other nonsense that comes with it. The other stuff is hard.
It's like wolves and shit. I mean, I think it's a good one.
It's not like I like the name. It's just the easiest thing to do.
I feel the same way you do. I could give a fuck less what the name is. I'm not gonna. I don't care. I don't care what they name them. But I'm like, we take it that you do. We know you do.
I can actually see myself rocking with like Commanders. I know it's not a good name, but it's a name I can live with.
They got a tank, man. I'm hyped.
It's just not my favorite.
Right.
If they got a tank, I'm bringing back the No Limit chain.
Oh, that tank, man. I mean, I'm already going to adopt the Cobra Commander sign, which I'm wrong. There you go.
Yeah.
All I'll say is if it is Commanders, and every time we get a first down, you hear Cobra.
Rocket launches.
Instead of that Mario power up sound, do the Cobra. That would be see. You can do things.
Yeah, but we are the demented people who think of Cobra Commanders. Everyone else is thinking U.S. military. We're the only ones thinking
that. Anybody like us who's grown up in the 80s or born in the 80s or watched any of those cartoons, which is a big chunk of this fan base, we're all thinking Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Plus, they made a comeback. They did all those live action movies.
They did. With Channing Tatum and The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Why? These weren't very good. But what was the latest one with Storm Shadow and it did. What was the latest one that just came out?
Snake Eyes. On its own, Snake Eyes was a good movie, but it's stupid because they let him talk. If they had him mute the whole time, or at least showed how he lost his voice, would have been a good movie. But other than that, that guy can fight though. That guy from the fucking what's that HBO show? The Days In, where he's
the Warrior.
Kung Fu in the Western. Yeah, that dude's a kick-ass dude though. I give him that.
Yeah,
the guy plays every time you do a Snake Eyes anything. Storm Shadow's always the best one.
He is. Yep. Well, fellas, it's been fun. This has been a fun episode. Looking through the Wayback lens. Talking about Super Bowl 1991-1992 season, the one that kicked off January 26, 1992, 30-year anniversary. This was a really, really fun episode. So we recapped that whole season. We talked about the Super Bowl, our victory over the Bills, 37-24 for Super Bowl 26. A little bit of playoff recap. And then I think we're all, we're kind of split, but we all think the Chiefs are going to go. And then, me and Phil think it's going to be the Rams. Dads think it's going to be the 49ers. Either way, I think we're in some good football tomorrow. It's going to be fun. I do need to check exactly what are the times for tomorrow before we sign out. So we got 3:00 and 6:30 p.m. So it's going to be good. Those are all East Coast time. So
Shanahan go to one more Super Bowl, man. Is he like an elite coaching? If he wins one, is he an elite coach at this point?
If he wins one,
yeah, it's not a losing record. But if he wins the Super Bowl,
Shanahan it's hard because record.
He's been to one. He's how long been coaching for now? Like 4 years, 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah,
I don't even know how long he's been there.
Something like that.
2 times. It'll be 2 Super Bowls if he wins tomorrow.
Not victories. Win to 2 Super Bowls. Yeah. I mean, what did Marv Levy? Marv Levy.
No, he went to 4.
What was the Bills coach who?
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Marv Levy. Yeah, he went to 4. He didn't win one.
Yeah.
He's
in the Hall of Fame?
A good coach. I don't know.
He is in the Hall of Fame. Do you know Marv Levy was a former assistant for the Redskins under George Allen?
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
I didn't know that Joe Gibbs was a Raider. Like until I watched the Madden special. And he talked about how Joe Gibbs had he was in it. Joe Gibbs was in the special. And he was talking about how Joe Gibbs was talking about how he had a playbook of offense. He was like a defensive something coach or something. He wasn't on offense. And he had a bunch of plays he wanted to give Madden. And Madden was like, because he wanted to try out for the offensive coordinator job. And he was like, I do want the plays, though, but I'm going to hire somebody else. And then I guess the guy in San Diego brought him over and said, hey, man, you come here. Yeah, Don Correll come and said, hey, I love those plays. Come here and run it here. And the rest was history, But he was at the Raiders whenever fucking John Madden was there.
Gibbs, everywhere he's gone as a coordinator, when he was a coordinator in Tampa, turned that team around. Coordinator in San Diego, they built the Air Coryell offense. Like it became so dynamic. Comes to Washington, builds 3 Super Bowl winners, goes to NASCAR, wins all these championships, and he's top owner and everything else. Comes back to Washington as coach, makes the dysfunctional franchise. Y'all forget how bad things were after Spurrier. Makes them respectable. Like people respected this franchise. That FedEx Field was not getting taken over under Gibbs.
It was hard to get in a game at FedEx back then.
I went to games at FedEx under Gibbs. It was Washington fans. Remember, the biggest crowd in this franchise's history was that 05 game against Dallas, where we stomped them 35-7. Cooley had the 3 touchdowns and everything. And then we went to the playoffs twice in 4 years, and we had respectable teams. It weren't glamorous or exciting, but we enjoyed watching them. We were fine with what we were getting. Everywhere Gibbs goes, you got stability, and you got improvement, and you got championships in a lot of aspects, or at least you're contending. This is what we should be looking for, and I think that's what Rivera is trying to build. And Rivera is probably the guy closest to be able to do that. But if there's any lesson to be learned from Joe Gibbs, it's that you don't have to be rah, run your mouth, curse everybody out, yell, scream, and act like a fool. You need a leader of men to build a winner.
Yep.
And being a leader is different than being someone who is there's a difference between being a boss and being a leader. A lot of y'all hear that. Joe Gibbs was a leader. And that's what you need.
Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls, and 2 of them were golf, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. He didn't need your boy Stafford. He
won with Joe Theismann, who I think Joe Theismann's criminally underrated.
I said 2 of the 3. I said 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs was on the guy.
Mark Rippon had 3. He had a stretch there, 89-91, where he was really good. Doug Williams and Jay Schrader combined to win a Super Bowl. That's probably that 87 season is probably like one of the greatest coaching accomplishments ever, because he went 3-0 with replacements, and he went the rest of the season alternating between Jay Schrader and Doug Williams, neither of which were franchise caliber QBs.
I'm gonna say something.
Williams at one point was, before Williams got hurt in Tampa Bay, he may have reached that point. That injury kind of leveled him off at being.
Doug Williams was trash, bro. No matter what you say, he had the greatest Super Bowl of all time. He had the greatest Super Bowl of all time. I'm not ever going to take that from that guy.
Doug Williams was on. He was trash. He was on. When he was off, he was off.
He only owned like one game in his life, but he was. That's all that mattered.
Tampa Bay in the playoffs. 3 years into their expansion.
Look at his numbers, though. I mean, I'm just saying that dude was not really good. His numbers
were not great, but
yeah, he's not. He wasn't good at all. He was actually a bad quarterback, but he won the Super Bowl in that game.
He was a huge arm. So he was with Gibbs. Here's the thing: Gibbs always, his first run, always did well when he had a quarterback with a big arm. People underrate the shit out of Joe Theismann's arm. Joe Theismann had a cannon. Jay Schrader had a cannon.
Rippon had a live arm too for the deep ball.
Oh my God! Rippon couldn't throw an 8. Here's the thing: Rippon couldn't throw an 8-yard out. Pretty to save his life.
That dude could throw a 60-yard fly like it was his job.
Yeah. But no one threw the non-route better than that guy in Washington.
No one threw the deep route better than Rippon.
Yeah, beautiful.
I love Doug though. He's a hero in my eyes, man. Growing up, like I couldn't believe the feeling I got seeing, a black quarterback as a kid, man. Like you never see that stuff. Like I'm not at all trying to disrespect our legend, anyways, and Doug. But Doug was trash, bro. And I mean that sincerely, but y'all want anybody listening to this? You want proof? They got like websites where you can put verses and shit stats. Look up Tim Tebow and Doug Williams, bro. They're the same fucking guy, bro. They're the same fucking guy.
Defenses were not a lot more aggressive, and passing completion percentages were not nearly as high. In that actually kind of speaks more about how bad Tebow is, because Tebow put up Doug Williams' numbers.
Doug was bad back then, bro.
The Peyton Manning, Tom Brady era.
Doug was bad back then, but when he got in those playoffs that year, he was good. And then when he got the Super Bowl, he was the best quarterback ever lived for at least 2 hours. For 2 hours, Doug Williams was Mahomes, bro. 2 hours.
1 quarter, really, if you really look at it. That quarter, by the way, is insane if you look at his numbers. 9 of 11, 200 and some yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, who does that?
Right.
But
that's what I'm trying to say, man. I like Doug though. I don't want to. One day I hope to meet the guy, man. I like Doug, and I want to be like, hey, man, you said I was trash. And I'm like, yeah, you were.
You look at his career stats.
These Tim Tebow, bro. I've been saying what I say. I've looked it up before. Look it up. Tim Tebow.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, same guy.
100 career touchdowns and 93 interceptions. Here's the funny thing: is he actually had a better touchdown to interception ratio with us and a much better completion percentage.
Man, who had the higher quarterback rating, Tim Tebow or Doug Williams?
I'm not looking at Tim Tebow. I don't give a shit about Tim Tebow. Here's a comparison. All right. He was even money in Tampa Bay. 73 touchdowns, 73 interceptions in 5 years. Right. 33-1 record. He was 5-9 as a starter with Washington. But it's funny because he won 3 games in relief in 87, but he doesn't get credit for that because he didn't start. But he was 5-9 as a starter in Washington, had a 27 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. His completion percentage at Tampa Bay was 47.4. With Washington, it was 55.9, which is respectable for the late 90s. It's not great.
No, look up the other 90s. Look up the other 90s quarterbacks, man. I don't hear that shit. Like
80s.
Yeah, look up the other 80s quarterbacks. They wasn't.
All right, I'll pick a good quarterback.
Super Bowl winning quarterback too.
There's only a handful of Jim McMahon.
Right. Yeah. Another trash quarterback. Another one.
With the Bears defense and
another one. Jim McMahon was better than Doug, though.
Jim McMahon, 57%
Rex Grossman. Rex Grossman
was better than Doug, bro. Rex Grossman would have won the Super Bowl with the 87 team.
Hold on. Listen to this. Jim McMahon, right?
Say what you want to say.
Who, by the way, Jim McMahon, between 85 and 86, he was injured. But 85, 86, he was 17-0 as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, 57.8% completion percentage in Chicago at the same time. 67 touchdowns, 56 interceptions. Not exactly a great ratio either.
Who's the receivers on Washington when Doug Williams played? Is Monk and who else?
Clark and Sanders.
Yeah.
Right. He still was trash. I'm just saying to you, bro. Like, but in the Super Bowl,
I wouldn't call him trash. He was inconsistent.
Jesus, Small J.
Hey, right place, right time, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
He was
in the playoffs.
It's all about.
He was a relief pitcher. He was good. He was always good for a half.
I want to know, man. Honestly, I haven't looked, but what is his quarterback rating career and Tebow's? I bet Tebow's is higher. I don't know why. I just
Williams and Tim Tebow. I'll tell you
Tim
right
Tebow's gonna be higher, man. You gonna
Well, let's just find out.
Tim Tebow. I'm just saying it's gonna be hilarious too.
Now, do you want me to do full career or just like
full career?
Yeah,
full career.
Williams with us.
Career. Average is an average, dog. Career.
Okay, just making sure. So all right. 69.4.
Oh, sorry, more than Doug.
That was Doug.
Yeah.
Tebow. So Tebow.
75.3.
Right. I told y'all he was better. Like
75.3.
Right. Tebow's better than Doug, man. But Doug's our hero. And
17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions over 3 years.
If Doug was a white quarterback and won that Super Bowl, what would y'all be saying about Doug right now? Be honest.
His
name was like, yeah, if Jay Schrader won that Super Bowl, would we treat Jay Schrader like we do Doug Williams?
Doug Williams, like physically, the way they played, are the same quarterback.
All right, if Jay wins the Super Bowl, do we treat Jay like we do Doug?
No, because Jay Schrader was an asshole.
No, because that ain't the reason.
Jay Schrader wasn't an asshole.
Doug Williams a black dude. We never seen that shit before. Like if Doug Williams was a white dude, we've been like,
we would remember him fondly. I don't think.
I'm talking about the world. Like Washington operates in a vacuum, man. Anybody wins Super Bowl here is a legend. But if you were like, let's say, like a Chiefs fan, and you look over and Jay Schrader got a Super Bowl, you don't think nothing else about that shit. He would be like
with Tebow. He got number 95 in the NFL Top 100 in 2012. Isn't that some shit on the Jets? For 2011, that was for the 2011 season, but it came out in 2012. He started 11 games.
Oh, that was
and they won most of them. And they won
that was
most
his
of
second Denver season.
Didn't he? Get
all I'm saying is Tim Tebow got more playoff wins than Stafford this year.
Yeah, and what's his name? T.J. Yates had more playoff wins than Tony Romo. That dude was on the league for like 2 years.
You don't need a star, dog, if everything else lines up. Like we don't never talk about Doug Williams in the same as we talk about Trent Dilfer and Rob Johnson. We don't talk about him in the vein where he was just like,
because he only played. How many games did Doug Williams play that year? He barely played.
5 and 9.
2 starts and 3 relief appearances.
There you go.
Right.
Trent Dilfer.
That's what I was always fascinated.
Trent Dilfer had about 5 games that year too.
I wonder why nobody ever he's so beloved for winning one game.
Well, I mean, he broke barriers to the first African American quarterback when the Super Bowl.
That's what I said. That's what I said. If Doug Williams is a white dude, man, you wouldn't even heard of him. You'd be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
We would remember him, but that's about it.
Yeah, only Washington fans would.
And deservedly so. You win a Super Bowl here. You
like Trent Dilfer.
You gotta remember though that Doug Williams was a legitimate NFL starting quarterback on 2 playoff teams in Tampa Bay earlier in his career. And this
who took his job? Stevie O. Who took his job at Tampa?
Steve Grogan. I don't know.
Steve DeBerg.
Steve DeBerg, not Grogan.
It might have been DeBerg. Grogan was in New England.
Yeah, Grogan was a New England guy. Steve DeBerg. That's who I was
thinking.
Or Vinny. Might have been Vinny. I don't know if Vinny was out that early.
No, he wasn't.
He was so good at Miami, bro. Jeez.
He was dope. Brady was dope in Miami.
I thought that dude was going to be like Joe Montana.
Yeah.
You see, Doug Williams left for. You got to remember, he got hurt, and then he left for the USFL. But here's the funny thing, right? 82 was Doug Williams last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And they went 5-4, and they made it to the playoffs. Actually, they went to the playoffs 3 times. Then I'm sorry, But anyway, lost to the Cowboys. 83, no Doug Williams, 2-14. Jack Thompson is their starting quarterback.
Oh, he's MVP, right?
Hey,
how good they are without him?
84, 6-10. Who's their quarterback? Probably DeBerg.
DeBerg was there.
Steve DeBerg. I was right.
And then he actually went to Kansas City towards the latter half of his career, I think.
And then he backed up Montana when he got older.
DeBerg played for a couple teams twice.
He's a Pro Bowler in Kansas City one year, wasn't he? A couple times.
He was. He had one really good season because I remember from Tecmo Bowl.
Then Montana took
really good season for 90s standards. I don't know what the numbers are, but I know he had a good season.
Steve DeBerg is like Dan Majowski. They're like insane.
The Magic Man.
Magic Man Majowski, man. That dude was unbelievable.
Pre-Brett Favre.
It was Heineke before Heineke.
Yeah, I can talk about that. No, DeBerg's great season was in 90 because I think he had 23 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
There you go. That was his lone good season, I think.
That was when Derek Thomas was sacking dude like 8 times in a game.
I mean, that's amazing for Steve DeBerg, but you gotta remember that was a team that had Barry Ward and Christian Okoye running.
Right. They also had Derek Thomas.
My favorite running back of all time.
They also had Derek Thomas sacking our old ex-coach like 8 times in a game.
Ron Cherry in the secondary. They had a great team.
Kevin Ross is back. I'll tell you, I've always said this: if Washington didn't exist, I may have been a Chiefs fan.
That was my second team growing up. Was the Chiefs? One because it was a familiar. Maybe it was a Native American thing. I don't know, but for me, it was an easy transition. So the Chiefs were always my other team. Yeah, Page, Derek Thomas, and when Joe Montana went there, I liked Joe Montana too. So
that's my favorite player
his last couple of years.
Rest in peace.
I mean, yeah, they had a good Dale Carter, another good safety for the.
They were always like
Chiefs.
They were always. It was Marty too. Like Marty had a respectable franchise. Like and I always kind of kept it, but it always seemed like they were on. Like Washington would play on Fox or CBS, but the Chiefs game somehow always ended up on NBC. I used to, love watching those Marty teams and get so mad because they'd find a way to blow it in the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
So, because it was just like, they always seem like the good guys of football. Like the Kansas City Chiefs have always been the good guys. Like no one ever looks at the Chiefs like an evil empire unless you're a Raiders fan or a Broncos.
Marty didn't deserve to get fired here, bro.
No, he didn't.
Nope. That's a whole other story that we'll stay there for another podcast.
That's right. Well, fellas, we've been here for a long time. We've almost hit the 2-hour mark. This has been a great episode. We reminisced long enough tonight, and we did talk a little bit.
Reminisce over you, my God.
That's right. So we'll probably see you guys Wednesday evening to see your reactions on the name game. We'll talk about nothing else. We'll save Wednesday just for the name. And we'll go live and we'll talk about how we feel about that. And fellas, any shout outs before we close out?
Shout out to COVID. I don't know.
Air AIDS doing it again.
Omicron kicking my ass, boy.
Man, any shout outs, Phil?
Shout out to the 4 teams. They're going to be playing tomorrow. I don't hate any of these teams. So, at least I get to just watch football with no real rooting interest. I mean, I have preferences, but, shout out to 4 teams that should give us 2 good games tomorrow and an enjoyable Sunday of football.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's going to be a good game. Good 4 teams. Like I said, solid. Nothing wrong with them. I could care less who wins. It'll be good football in my book. So. All right, fellas. Well, we'll enjoy the games this weekend, and if you stayed this long, man, we owe you something.
God bless you if you did.
God bless you. Doing the Lord's work.
This episode is going to be thick.
Hey, shout out to because it was Mark. I went to work yesterday and I looked down and all my antifreeze was out in my car. Couldn't figure it out. Pulled more in it before I got off work. Outside of work, all my antifreeze was out again. Water pump found out today.
Man.
So he came, got the car, and fixed it for me. Left the keys in it and had somebody. I had to go pick it up because I have COVID. I can't talk to him. Well,
yeah. Shout out to Mark.
Fix my
Shout
car.
out
Man.
to the last days of this name right here.
That's right.
Maybe.
Don't ever buy a Hummer.
Shout out to Shy Guns. We got to check on our boy Cordero. Make sure he's okay.
I'm texting him, man.
Shout out to Marcus Davis.
He's alive. Yeah. Hey, we appreciate you guys and see you guys on Wednesday. As always, peace and hail.